Today we will dive into chapters 21 to 40 of the book of Exodus. The laws of justice and holiness delivered by God. The confirmation of the covenant on Mount Sinai. The golden calf and God's disappointment. The construction and consecration of the Tabernacle. A journey filled with divine teachings, challenges, and the manifestation of God's glory. The story begins now. Chapter 21. Now these are the ordinances which thou shalt set before them. If thou buy a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he comes in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he be married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her sons shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. But if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my sons, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to God, and shall bring him to the door, or to the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. And if a man sells his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she does not please her master, who has espoused her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no power to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt deceitfully with her. And if he espouses her to his son, he shall deal with her according to the manner of daughters. If he takes him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, he shall not diminish. And if he does not do these 3 things to her, then she shall go out for nothing, without money. He who smites a man so that he dies shall surely be put to death. And if a man does not lay in wait, but God delivers him into his hand, then I will appoint for thee a place where he shall flee. And if a man comes presumptuously upon his neighbor, to kill him with guile, thou shalt take him from my altar, that he may die. And he who smites his father or his mother shall be surely put to death. And he who steals a man and sells him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he who curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And if men contend, and one smites the other with a stone, or with his fist, and he does not die, but keeps his bed, if he rises again and walks abroad upon his staff, then he who smote him shall be acquitted. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. And if a man smites his servant or his maid with a rod, and he dies under his hand, he shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if he continues a day or 2, he shall not be punished, for he is his money. And if men strive together, and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart, and yet no harm follow, he shall be surely fined, according as the woman's husband shall lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. But if any harm follows, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. And if a man smites the eye of his servant or the eye of his maid, and destroys it, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he knocks out his manservant's tooth or his maidservant's tooth, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. And if an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall surely be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be acquitted. But if the ox was accustomed to gore in time past, and it has been testified to its owner, and he has not kept it in, but it has killed a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner shall also be put to death. If a ransom is laid on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is laid upon him. Whether it has gored a son or has gored a daughter, according to this judgment it shall be done to him. If the ox gores a manservant or a maidservant, there shall be given to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and an ox or a donkey falls in it, the owner of the pit shall make it good. He shall give money to the owner of it, and the dead beast shall be his. And if one man's ox hurts another's, so that it dies, then they shall sell the live ox and divide the price of it, and the dead they shall also divide. Or if it be known that the ox was accustomed to gore in time past, and its owner has not kept it in, he shall surely pay ox for ox, and the dead beast shall be his own. Chapter 22. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall pay 5 oxen for an ox, and 4 sheep for a sheep. If the thief is found breaking in, and be smitten so that he dies, there shall be no blood guiltiness for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood guiltiness for him. A thief shall make restitution. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the theft is found in his hand alive, whether it be ox or donkey or sheep, he shall pay double. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall let his beast loose, and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns, so that the shocks of grain or the standing grain or the field are consumed, he who kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. If a man shall deliver to his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, then the master of the house shall come near to God to see whether he has not put his hand to his neighbor's goods. For every matter of trespass, whether it be for ox, for donkey, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, of which a man says, "This is it," the case of both parties shall come before God. He whom God shall condemn, if a man delivers to his neighbor a donkey, or an ox, or a sheep, or any beast, to keep, and it dies, or be hurt, or driven away, no man seeing it, the oath of Lord shall be between them both, whether he has not put his hand to his neighbor's goods. And the owner of it shall accept it, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to the owner of it. If it is torn in pieces, let him bring it for evidence. He shall not make good that which was torn. And if a man borrows anything of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner of it not being with it, he shall surely make restitution. If the owner of it is with it, he shall not make it good. If it be a hired thing, it came for its hire. And if a man entices a virgin who is not betrothed and lays with her, he shall surely pay a dowry for her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Thou shalt not allow a sorceress to live. Whoever lays with a beast shall surely be put to death. He who sacrifices to any god except to Lord only shall be utterly destroyed. And thou shalt not wrong a sojourner, neither shalt thou oppress him. For ye were sojourners in the land of Egypt. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them at all, and they cry at all to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall grow hot. And I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your sons fatherless. If thou lend money to any of my people with thee who is poor, thou shalt not be to him as a creditor, neither shall ye lay upon him interest. If thou at all take thy neighbor's garment to pledge, thou shalt restore it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering. It is his garment for his skin. How shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass when he cries to me that I will hear, for I am gracious. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor speak maliciously, LXX of a ruler of thy people. Thou shalt not delay to offer from thy harvest, and from the outflow of thy presses. The firstborn of thy sons thou shalt give to me. Likewise thou shalt do with thine oxen, and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with its dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it me. And ye shall be holy men to me. Therefore ye shall not eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. Chapter 23. Thou shalt not take up a false report. Do not put thy hand with the wicked man to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a case to turn aside after a multitude to distort justice. Neither shalt thou favor a poor man in his case. If thou meet thine enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, thou shalt surely bring it back to him again. If thou see the donkey of him who hates thee lying under his burden, thou shalt refrain leaving him. Thou shalt surely release it with him. Thou shalt not distort the justice due to thy poor in his case. Keep thee far from a false matter. and do not kill an innocent and righteous man, for I will not justify a wicked man. And thou shalt take no bribe, for a bribe blinds those who have sight, and perverts the words of the righteous. And thou shalt not oppress a sojourner, for ye know the heart of a sojourner, since ye were sojourners in the land of Egypt. And 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in the increase of it, but the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lay fallow, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beast of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard, and with thy oliveyard. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thy donkey may have rest, and the son of thy handmaid and the sojourner may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said to you take ye heed, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast to me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, at the time appointed in the month Abib. For in it thou came out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labors, which thou sow in the field, and the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when thou gather in thy labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before Lord. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my feast remain all night until the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy ground thou shalt bring into the house of Lord thy God. Thou shalt not boil a kid in its mother's milk. Behold, I send a heavenly agent before thee to keep thee by the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Take ye heed before him, and hearken to his voice, provoke him not. For he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed hearken to his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy to thine enemies, and an adversary to thine adversaries. For my heavenly agent shall go before thee, and bring thee in to the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Canaanite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and break their pillars in pieces. And ye shall serve Lord your God, and he will bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall none cast her young, nor be barren in thy land. I will fulfill the number of thy days. I will send my terror before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make all thine enemies turn their backs to thee. And I will send the hornet before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. Little by little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land. And I will set thy border from the Red Sea even to the sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to thee. Chapter 24. And he said to Moses, Come up to Lord, thou and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near to Lord, but they shall not come near, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of Lord, and all the ordinances. And all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words which Lord has spoken will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and built an altar below the mount, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the sons of Israel, who offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to Lord. And Moses took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people. And they said, All that Lord has spoken will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood, and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold the blood of the covenant that Lord has made with you concerning all these words. Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, And 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw the God of Israel. And there was under his feet as it were a paved work of sapphire stone, and as it were the very heaven for clearness. And he laid not his hand upon the nobles of the sons of Israel. And they beheld God, and ate and drank. And Lord said to Moses, Come up to me unto the mount, and be there. And I will give thee the tablets of stone, and the law and the commandment, which I have written, that thou may teach them. And Moses rose up, and Joshua his minister, and Moses went up unto the mount of God. And he said to the elders, Tarry ye here for us, until we come again to you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a case, let him come near to them. And Moses went up unto the mount, and the cloud covered the mount. And the glory of Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the 7th day he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the appearance of the glory of Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the sons of Israel. And Moses entered into the midst of the cloud and went up onto the mount. And Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 25. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, that they take for me an offering. Of every man whose heart makes him willing, ye shall take my offering. And this is the offering which ye shall take of them: gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and rams' skins dyed red and sea skins and acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense, onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate. And let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them. According to all that I show thee, the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of all the furniture of it, even so shall ye make it. And they shall make an ark of acacia wood. 2 cubits and a half shall be the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside thou shalt overlay it, and shalt make upon it a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 feet of it. And 2 rings shall be on the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And thou shalt make staves of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put the staves into the rings on the sides of the ark, with which to bear the ark. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. And thou shalt put into the ark the testimony which I shall give thee. And thou shalt make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it. And thou shalt make 2 cherubim of gold. Of beaten work shalt thou make them at the 2 ends of the mercy seat, and make 1 cherub at the one end, and 1 cherub at the other end. Of one piece with the mercy seat ye shall make the cherubim on the 2 ends of it. And the cherubim shall spread out their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces one to another. The faces of the cherubim shall be toward the mercy seat. And thou shalt put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And in the ark thou shalt put the testimony that I shall give thee. And there I will meet with thee. And I will commune with thee from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim which are upon the ark of the testimony, of all things which I will give thee in commandment to the sons of Israel. And thou shalt make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits the length of it, and 1 cubit the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, and make thereto a crown of gold round about. And thou shalt make to it a border of a handbreadth round about, and thou shalt make a golden crown to the border of it round about. And thou shalt make for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings in the 4 corners that are on the 4 feet of it. The rings shall be close by the border, for places for the staves to bear the table. And thou shalt make the staves of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold, that the table may be borne with them. And thou shalt make the dishes of it, and the spoons of it, and the flagons of it, and the bowls of it, with which to pour out. Of pure gold thou shalt make them. And thou shalt set upon the table showbread before me always. And thou shalt make a candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work shall the candlestick be made, even its base, and its shaft, its cups, its knobs, and its flowers, shall be of one piece with it. And there shall be 6 branches going out of the sides of it, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side of it, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side of it. 3 cups made like almond blossoms in one branch, a knob and a flower, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms in the other branch, a knob and a flower, so for the 6 branches going out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick 4 cups made like almond blossoms, the knobs of it and the flowers of it, and a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, for the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. Their knobs and their branches shall be of one piece with it, the whole of it one beaten work of pure gold. And thou shalt make the lamps of it 7, and they shall light the lamps of it, to give light opposite it, and the snuffers of it and the snuff dishes of it shall be of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold shall it be made with all these vessels. And see that thou make them according to their pattern that has been shown thee on the mountain. Chapter 26. Moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle with 10 curtains, of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, with cherubim the work of the skillful workman shall thou make them. The length of each curtain shall be 28 cubits, and the breadth of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains shall have one measure. 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another, and the other 5 curtains shall be coupled one to another. And thou shalt make loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling, and likewise thou shalt make in the edge of the curtain that is outmost in the second coupling. 50 loops thou shalt make in the one curtain, and 50 loops thou shalt make in the edge of the curtain that is in the second coupling. The loops shall be opposite one to another, and thou shalt make 50 clasps of gold, and couple the curtains one to another with the clasps. And the tabernacle shall be one whole. And thou shalt make curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains thou shalt make them. The length of each curtain shall be 30 cubits, and the breadth of each curtain 4 cubits. The 11 curtains shall have one measure, and thou shalt couple 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves, and shall double over the 6th curtain in the forefront of the tent. And thou shalt make 50 loops on the edge of the one curtain that is outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops upon the edge of the curtain which is outmost in the second coupling. And thou shalt make 50 clasps of brass, and put the clasps into the loops, and couple the tent together, that it may be one. And the overhanging part that remains of the curtains of the tent, the half curtain that remains, shall hang over the back of the tabernacle. And the cubit on the one side, and the cubit on the other side, of that which remains in the length of the curtains of the tent, shall hang over the sides of the tabernacle on this side and on that side, to cover it. And thou shalt make a covering for the tent of rams' skins dyed red, and a covering of sea skins above. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood, standing up. 10 cubits shall be the length of a board, and a cubit and a half the breadth of each board. There shall be 2 tenons in each board, joined one to another. Thus thou shalt make for all the boards of the tabernacle. And thou shalt make the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward. And thou shalt make 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the hinder part of the tabernacle westward, thou shalt make 6 boards. And thou shalt make 2 boards for the corners of the tabernacle in the hinder part. And they shall be double beneath, and in like manner they shall be entire to the top of it to one ring. Thus shall it be for them both. They shall be for the 2 corners. And there shall be 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And thou shalt make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the side of the tabernacle, for the hinder part westward. And the middle bar in the midst of the boards shall pass through from end to end. And thou shalt overlay the boards with gold, and make their rings of gold for places for the bars. And thou shalt overlay the bars with gold, And thou shalt raise up the tabernacle according to the fashion of it which has been shown thee on the mount. And thou shalt make a veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. With cherubim the work of the skillful workman shall it be made. And thou shalt hang it upon 4 pillars of acacia overlaid with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold upon 4 sockets of silver. And thou shalt hang up the veil under the clasps, and shall bring in there within the veil the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall separate to you between the holy place and the most holy. And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place. And thou shalt set the table outside the veil, and the candlestick opposite the table on the side of the tabernacle toward the south. And thou shalt put the table on the north side. And thou shalt make a screen for the door of the tent, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer. And thou shalt make for the screen 5 pillars of acacia, and overlay them with gold. Their hooks shall be of gold, and thou shalt cast 5 sockets of brass for them. Chapter 27. And thou shalt make the altar of acacia wood, 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height of it shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns of it upon the 4 corners of it. The horns of it shall be of one piece with it, and thou shalt overlay it with brass. And thou shalt make its pots to take away its ashes, and its shovels, and its basins, and its flesh hooks, and its fire pans. All the vessels of it thou shalt make of brass. And thou shalt make for it a grating of network of brass, and upon the network thou shalt make 4 brazen rings in the 4 corners of it. And thou shalt put it under the ledge round the altar beneath, that the network may reach halfway up the altar. And thou shalt make staves for the altar, staves of acacia wood, and overlay them with brass. And the staves of it shall be put into the rings, and the staves shall be upon the 2 sides of the altar in bearing it. Thou shalt make it hollow with planks. As it has been shown thee on the mount, so shall they make it. And thou shalt make the court of the tabernacle. For the south side southward there shall be hangings for the court of fine twined linen 100 cubits long for one side, and the pillars of it shall be 20, and their sockets 20 of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their bands shall be of silver. And likewise for the north side in length there shall be hangings 100 cubits long, and the pillars of it 20, and their sockets 20, of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their bands of silver. And for the breadth of the court on the west side shall be hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10. And the breadth of the court on the east side eastward shall be 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate shall be 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the other side shall be hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. And for the gate of the court shall be a screen of 20 cubits, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, their pillars 4, and their sockets 4. All the pillars of the court round about shall be banded with silver, their hooks of silver, and their sockets of brass. The length of the court shall be 100 cubits, and the breadth 50 everywhere, and the height 5 cubits, of fine twined linen, and their sockets of brass. All the instruments of the tabernacle and all the service of it, and all the pins of it, and all the pins of the court, shall be of brass. And thou shalt command the sons of Israel that they bring to thee pure beaten olive oil for the light, to cause a lamp to burn continually in the tent of meeting, outside the veil which is before the testimony. Aaron and his sons shall keep it in order from evening to morning before Lord. It shall be a statute forever throughout their generations on the behalf of the. Chapter 28. And bring thou near to thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the sons of Israel, that he may minister to me in the priest's office, even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak to all who are wise-hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they make Aaron's garments to sanctify him, that he may minister to me in the priest's office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate, and an ephod, and a robe, and a coat of checker work, a mitre, and a sash. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that he may minister. And they shall take the gold, and the blue, and the purple, and the scarlet, and the fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen, the work of the skillful workman. It shall have 2 shoulder pieces joined to the 2 ends of it, that it may be joined together. And the skillfully woven band which is upon it, with which to gird it on, shall be like the work of it, and of the same piece of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the sons of Israel, 6 of their names on the one stone, and the names of the 6 that remain on the other stone, according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, thou shalt engrave the 2 stones, according to the names of the sons of Israel. Thou shalt make them to be enclosed in settings of gold. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulder pieces of the ephod, to be stones of memorial for the sons of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make settings of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold, like cords shalt thou make them, of wreathen work. And thou shalt put the wreathen chains on the settings. And thou shalt make a breastplate of judgment, the work of the skillful workman. Thou shalt make it like the work of the ephod, of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, thou shalt make it. It shall be 4 and double. A span shall be the length of it, and a span the breadth of it. And thou shalt set in it settings of stones, 4 rows of stones. A row of sardius, topaz, and carbuncle shall be the 1st row, and the 2nd row an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond, and the 3rd row a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst, and the 4th row a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be enclosed in gold in their settings, and the stones shall be according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one according to his name. They shall be for the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains like cords of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings at the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains thou shalt put on the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod in the forepart of it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the edge of it, which is toward the side of the ephod inward. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and shalt put them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod underneath, in the forepart of it, close by the coupling of it, above the skillfully woven band of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings of it to the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be upon the skillfully woven band of the ephod, and that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the sons of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart when he goes into the holy place, for a memorial before Lord continually. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goes in before Lord. And Aaron shall bear the judgment of the sons of Israel upon his heart before Lord Conti. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue, and it shall have a hole for the head in the midst of it. It shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of a coat of mail, that it be not torn. And upon the skirts of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, round about the skirts of it, and bells of gold between them round about. A golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate, upon the skirts of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and the sound of it shall be heard when he goes into the holy place before Lord, and when he comes out, that he does not die. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and engrave upon it like the engravings of a signet, holy to Lord. And thou shalt put it on a lace of blue, and it shall be upon the mitre. It shall be upon the forefront of the mitre, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead. And Aaron shall bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the sons of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall always be upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before, And thou shalt weave the coat in checker work of fine linen. And thou shalt make a mitre of fine linen. And thou shalt make a sash, the work of the embroiderer. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them sashes, and head coverings thou shalt make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother, and upon his sons with him, and shall anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt make for them linen breeches to cover the flesh of their nakedness. From the loins even to the thighs they shall reach. And they shall be upon Aaron, and upon his sons, when they go into the tent of meeting, or when they come near to the altar to minister in the holy place, that they not bear iniquity, and die. It shall be a statute forever to him. Chapter 29. And this is the thing that thou shalt do to them to hallow them, to minister to me in the priest's office. Take 1 young bullock and 2 rams without blemish, and unleavened bread, and cakes unleavened mingled with oil, and wafers unleavened anointed with oil. Of fine wheaten flour shalt thou make them, and thou shalt put them into 1 basket, and bring them in the basket, with the bullock and the 2 rams. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring to the door of the tent of meeting, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt take the garments, and put upon Aaron the coat, and the robe of the ephod, and the breastplate, and gird him with the skillfully woven band of the ephod. And thou shalt set the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. Then thou shalt take the anointing oil, and pour it upon his head, and anoint him. And thou shalt bring his sons, and put coats upon them, and thou shalt gird them with sashes, Aaron and his sons, and bind head coverings on them. And they shall have the priesthood by a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. And thou shalt bring the bullock before the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock, and thou shalt kill the bullock before Lord at the door of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt take of the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and thou shalt pour out all the blood at the base of the altar. And thou shalt take all the fat that covers the inwards, and the caul upon the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and burn them upon the altar. But the flesh of the bullock, and its skin, and its dung, thou shalt burn with fire outside the camp. It is a sin offering. Thou shalt also take the 1 ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon the head of the ram. And thou shalt slay the ram, and thou shalt take its blood, and sprinkle it round about upon the altar. And thou shalt cut the ram into its pieces, and wash its inwards and its legs, and put them with its pieces and with its head, and thou shalt burn the whole ram upon the altar. It is a burnt offering to Lord. It is a sweet savor, an offering made by fire to Lord. And thou shalt take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall lay their hands upon the head of the ram. Then thou shalt kill the ram, and take of its blood, and put it upon the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, and upon the thumb of their right hand, and upon the great toe of their right foe. And thou shalt take of the blood that is upon the altar, and of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and upon his sons, and upon the garments of his sons with him, and he shall be hallowed, and his. Also thou shalt take from the ram the fat, and the fat tail, and the fat that covers the inwards, and the caul of the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and the right thigh, for it is a ram of consecration, and 1 loaf of bread, and 1 cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer out of the basket of unleavened bread that is before Lord. And thou shalt put the whole upon the hands of Aaron, and upon the hands of his sons, and shall wave them for a wave offering before Lord. And thou shalt take them from their hands, and burn them on the altar upon the burnt offering, for a sweet savor before Lord. It is an offering made by fire to Lord. And thou shalt take the breast of Aaron's ram of consecration, and wave it for a wave offering before Lord, and it shall be thy portion. And thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering, and the thigh of the heave offering which is waved and which is heaved up, of the ram of consecration, even of that which is for Aaron, and of that which is for his sons. And it shall be for Aaron and his sons as their portion forever from the sons of Israel, for it is a heave offering. And it shall be a heave offering from the sons of Israel, of the sacrifices of their peace offerings, even there, and the holy garments of Aaron shall be for his sons after him, to be anointed in them, and to be consecrated in them. 7 days shall the son that is priest in his stead put them on, when he comes into the tent of meeting to minister in the holy place. And thou shalt take the ram of consecration, and boil its flesh in a holy place. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram, and the bread that is in the basket, at the door of the tent of meeting. And they shall eat those things with which atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them. But a stranger shall not eat of it, because they are holy. And if any of the flesh of the consecration, or of the bread, remains to the morning, then thou shalt burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. And thus thou shalt do to Aaron and to his sons, according to all that I have commanded thee. 7 days thou shalt consecrate them, and every day thou shalt offer the bullock of sin offering for atonement. And thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou make atonement for it, and thou shalt anoint it to sanctify it. 7 days thou shalt make atonement for the altar, and sanctify it. And the altar shall be most holy. Whatever touches the altar shall be holy. Now this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar: 2 lambs a year old day by day continually. The one lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at evening. And with the one lamb 1/10 part of an ephah of fine flour, mingled with the 4th part of a hin of beaten oil, and the 4th part of a hin of wine for a drink offering. And the other lamb thou shalt offer at evening, and shall do thereto according to the meal offering of the morning, and according to the drink offering of it, for a sweet savor, an offering made by fire to Lord. It shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the door of the tent of meeting before Lord, where I will meet with you, to speak to thee there. And there I will meet with the sons of Israel, and the tent shall be sanctified by my glory. And I will sanctify the tent of meeting and the altar. I will also sanctify Aaron and his sons to minister to me in the priest's office. And I will dwell among the sons of Israel, and will be their God. And they shall know that I am Lord their God, who brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, that I might dwell among them. I am Lord their God. Chapter 30. And thou shalt make an altar to burn incense upon. Thou shalt make it of acacia wood. A cubit shall be the length of it, and a cubit the breadth of it. It shall be 4 square. And 2 cubits shall be the height of it. The horns of it shall be of 1 piece with it. And thou shalt overlay it with pure gold, the top of it, and the sides of it round about, and the horns of it. And thou shalt make to it a crown of gold round about. And 2 golden rings thou shalt make for it under the crown of it, upon the 2 ribs of it, upon the 2 sides of it thou shalt make them. And they shall be for places for staves with which to bear it. And thou shalt make the staves of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And thou shalt put it before the veil that is by the ark of the testimony, before the mercy seat that is over the testimony, where I will meet with thee. And Aaron shall burn in it incense of sweet spices. Every morning when he dresses the lamps he shall burn it. And when Aaron lights the lamps at evening he shall burn it, a perpetual incense before Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall offer no strange incense on it, nor burnt offering, nor meal offering. And ye shall pour no drink offering on it. And Aaron shall make atonement upon the horns of it once in the year, with the blood of the sin offering of atonement. Once in the year he shall make atonement for it throughout your generations. It is most holy to Lord. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, When thou take the sum of the sons of Israel, according to those who are numbered of them, then they shall give every man a ransom for his soul to Lord when thou number them, that there be no plague among them when thou number them. This they shall give every one who passes over to those who are numbered, 1/2 shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary, the shekel is 20 gerahs, 1/2 shekel for an offering to Lord. Every one who passes over to those who are numbered, from 20 years old and upward, shall give the offering of Lord. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than the 1/2 shekel when they give the offering of Lord to make atonement for your souls. And thou shalt take the atonement money from the sons of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tent of meeting, that it may be a memorial for the sons of Israel before Lord, to make atonement for your souls. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Thou shalt also make a laver of brass, and the base of it of brass for washing. And thou shalt put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and thou shalt put water in it. And Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet there. When they go into the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water, that they not die, or when they come near to the altar to minister, to burn an offering made by fire to Lord. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they not die. And it shall be a statute forever to them, even to him and to his seed throughout their generations. Moreover, Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take thou also to thee the chief spices, of flowing myrrh 500 shekels, and of sweet cinnamon half so much, even 250, and of sweet calamus 250, and of cassia 500, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and of olive oil a hin. And thou shalt make it a holy anointing oil, a perfume compounded after the art of the perfumer. It shall be a holy anointing oil. And thou shalt anoint with it the tent of meeting, and the ark of the testimony, and the table and all the vessels of it, and the candlestick and the vessels of it, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering with all the vessels of it, and the laver and the base of it. And thou shalt sanctify them that they may be most holy. Whatever touches them shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint Aaron and his sons and sanctify them, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt speak to the sons of Israel, saying, This shall be a holy anointing oil to me throughout your generations. Upon the flesh of man it shall not be poured, neither shall ye make any like it, according to the composition of it. It is holy, and it shall be holy to you. Whoever compounds any like it, or whoever puts any of it upon a stranger, he shall be cut off from his people. And Lord said to Moses, Take to thee sweet spices, stacte and onycha and galbanum, sweet spices with pure frankincense, of each shall there be a like weight. And thou shalt make of it incense, a perfume after the art of the perfumer, seasoned with salt, pure and holy. And thou shalt beat some of it very small, and put of it before the testimony in the tent of meeting, where I will meet with thee. It shall be to you most holy. And the incense which thou shalt make, ye shall not make for yourselves according to the composition of it. It shall be to thee holy for Lord. Whoever shall make like that, to smell of it, he shall be cut off from his people. Chapter 31. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, See, I have called by name Bezalel the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, and I have filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, and in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, to devise skillful works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stones for setting, and in carving of wood, to work in all manner of workmanship. And I, behold, I have appointed with him Oholiab, the son of Ahisamash, of the tribe of Dan. And in the heart of all who are wise-hearted I have put wisdom, that they may make all that I have commanded thee, the tent of meeting, and the ark of the testimony, and the mercy seat that is on it, and all the furniture of the tent, and the table and its vessels, and the pure candlestick with all its vessels, and the altar of incense, and the altar of burnt offering with all its vessels, and the laver and its base, and the finely wrought garments, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons, to minister in the priest's office, and the anointing oil, and the incense of sweet spices for the holy place. According to all that I have commanded thee, they shall do. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak thou also to the sons of Israel, saying, Truly ye shall keep my Sabbaths, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Lord who sanctifies you. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy to you. Every one who profanes it shall surely be put to death. For whoever does any work on it, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, holy to Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death. Therefore the sons of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the sons of Israel forever. For in 6 days Lord made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested and was refreshed. And he gave to Moses, when he had made an end of communing with him upon Mount Sinai, the 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone, written with the finger of God. Chapter 32. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mount, the people gathered themselves together to Aaron, and said to him, Up, make gods for us, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought, and Aaron said to them, Break off the golden rings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them to me. And all the people broke off the golden rings which were in their ears, and brought them to Aaron. And he received it at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, and made it a molten calf. And they said, These are thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow shall be a feast to Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow, and offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to revel. And Lord spoke to Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people that thou brought up out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made for them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed to it, and said, These are thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of them. Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may grow hot against them, and that I may consume them. And I will make of thee a great nation. And Moses besought Lord his God, and said, Lord, why does thy wrath grow hot against thy people, whom thou have brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak, saying, He brought them forth for evil, to kill them on the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and relent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swore by thine own self, and said to them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of I will give to your seed. And Lord relented of the evil which he said he would do to his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hand, tablets that were written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other were they written. And the tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, engraved upon the tablets. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, There is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, It is not the voice of those who shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of those who cry for being overcome, but the noise of those who sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came near to the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. And Moses' anger grew hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands, and broke them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it with fire, and ground it to powder, and scattered it upon the water, and made the sons of Israel drink of it. And Moses said to Aaron, What did this people do to thee, that thou have brought a great sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my Lord grow hot. Thou know the people, that they are set on evil. For they said to me, Make gods for us, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we know not what has become of him. And I said to them, Whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were broken loose, for Aaron had let them loose for a derision among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Whoever is on Lord's side, come to me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. And he said to them, Thus says Lord, the God of Israel, Put ye every man his sword upon his thigh, and go to and fro from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man and the sons of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. And Moses said, Consecrate yourselves today to Lord, yea, every man against his son and against his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said to the people, Ye have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up to Lord. Perhaps I shall make atonement for your sin. And Moses returned to Lord and said, Oh, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made gods of gold for them. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou have written. And Lord said to Moses, Whoever has sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. And now go, lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to thee. Behold, my heavenly agent shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I will visit their sin upon them. And Lord smote the people, because they made the calf which Aaron made. Chapter 33. And Lord spoke to Moses, Depart, go up from here, thou and the people that thou have brought up out of the land of Egypt, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, To thy seed will I give it. And I will send a heavenly agent before thee. And I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, to a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee on the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man put his ornaments on him. And Lord said to Moses, Say to the sons of Israel, Ye are a stiff-necked people. If I go up into the midst of thee for one moment, I shall consume thee. Therefore now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do to thee. And the sons of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments from Mount Horeb onward. Now Moses used to take the tent and to pitch it outside the camp, afar off from the camp, and he called it the tent of meeting. And it came to pass that everyone who sought Lord went out to the tent of meeting, which was outside. And it came to pass, when Moses went out to the tent, that all the people rose up and stood, every man at his tent door, and looked after Moses, until he was gone into the tent. And it came to pass, when Moses entered into the tent, the pillar of cloud descended, and stood at the door of the tent, and Lord spoke with Moses. And all the people saw the pillar of cloud stand at the door of the tent. And all the people rose up and worshipped, every man at his tent door. And Lord spoke to Moses face to face, as a man speaks to his friend, and he turned again into the camp. But his minister Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, did not depart out of the tent. And Moses said to Lord, See, thou say to me, Bring up this people, and thou have not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou have said, I know thee by name, and thou have also found favor in my sight. Now therefore I pray thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show me now thy ways, that I may know thee, to the end that I may find favor in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And Moses said to him, If thy presence go not, do not carry us up from here. For how shall it now be known that I have found favor in thy sight, I and thy people? Is it not in that thou go with us, so that we are separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth? And Lord said to Moses, I will do this thing also that thou have spoken, for thou have found favor in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, Show me, I pray thee, thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and will proclaim the name of Lord before thee. I will be merciful to whom I may be merciful, and I will be compassionate to whomever I may be compassionate. 70 and T. And he said, Thou cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live. And Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon the rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passes by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand until I have passed by. And I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see my back, but my face shall not be seen. Chapter 34. And Lord said to Moses, Hew thee 2 tablets of stone like the first, and I will write upon the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which thou broke. And be ready by the morning, and come up in the morning to Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me on the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount. Neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tablets of stone like the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning, and went up to Mount Sinai as Lord had commanded him, and took in his hand 2 tablets of stone. And Lord descended in the cloud and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of Lord. And Lord passed by before him, and proclaimed, Lord, Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness and truth, keeping loving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and who will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, upon the thee. And Moses made haste, and bowed his head toward the earth, and worshipped. And he said, If now I have found favor in thy sight, O Lord, let the Lord, I pray thee, go in the midst of us, for it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for thine inheritance. And he said, Behold, I make a covenant. Before all thy people I will do marvels, such as have not been wrought in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among which thou art shall see the work of Lord. For it is an awe, observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land where thou go, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall break down their altars, and dash in pieces their pillars, and ye shall cut down their Asherim, for thou shalt worship no other God. For Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they play the harlot after their gods, and sacrifice to their gods, and a man calls thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou take of their daughters to thy sons, and their daughters play the harlot after their gods, and make thy sons play the harlot after their gods. Thou shalt make thee no molten gods. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, at the time appointed in the month Abib. For in the month Abib thou came out from Egypt. All that opens the womb is mine, and all thy cattle that is male, the firstlings of cow and sheep. And the firstling of a donkey thou shalt redeem with a lamb, and if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break its neck. All the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In plowing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, even of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before Lord, the God of Israel. For I will cast out nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou go up to appear before Lord thy God 3 times in the year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, nor shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left to the morning. The first of the first fruits of thy ground thou shalt bring to the house of Lord thy God. Thou shalt not boil a kid in its mother's milk. And Lord said to Moses, Write thou these words. For after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. And he was there with Lord 40 days and 40 nights. He neither ate bread nor drank water. And he wrote upon the tablets the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. And it came to pass, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone by reason of his speaking. Why? And when Aaron and all the sons of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. And Moses called to them. And Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moses spoke to them. And afterward all the sons of Israel came near, and he gave them in commandment all that Lord had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moses was done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off, until he came out. And he came out and spoke to the sons of Israel that which he was commanded. And the sons of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put the veil upon his face again until he went in to speak with him. Chapter 35. And Moses assembled all the congregation of the sons of Israel and said to them, These are the words which Lord has commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days' work shall be done, but on the 7th day there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of solemn rest to Lord. Whoever does any work in it shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. And Moses spoke to all the congregation of the sons of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Lord commanded, saying, Take ye from among you an offering to Lord. Whoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, Lord's offering, gold and silver and brass and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and rams' skins dyed red and sea skins and acacia wood and oil for the light and spices for the anointing oil and for the sweet incense and onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate. And let every wise-hearted man among you come and make all that Lord has commanded, the tabernacle, its tent and its covering, its clasps and its boards, its bars, its pillars and its sockets, the ark and the staves of it, the mercy seat and the veil of the screen, the table and its staves and all its vessels, and the showbread, the candlestick also for the light, and its vessels, and its lamps, and the oil for the light, and the altar of incense, and its staves, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the screen for the door, at the door of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering, with its grating of brass, its staves and all its vessels, the laver and its base, the hangings of the court, the pillars of it, and their sockets, and the screen for the gate of the court, the pins of the tabernacle, and the pins of the court, and their cords, the finely wrought garments, for ministering in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons, to minister in the priest's office. And all the congregation of the sons of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, every one whose heart stirred him up, and every one whom his spirit made willing, and brought Lord's offering for the work of the tent of meeting, and for all the service of it, and for the holy garments. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought brooches and earrings and signet rings and armlets, all jewels of gold, even every man who offered an offering of gold to Lord, and every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and rams' skins dyed red and sea skins brought them. Every one who offered an offering of silver and brass brought Lord's offering, and every man with whom was found acacia wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the women who were wise-hearted spun with their hands and brought that which they had spun, the blue and the purple, the scarlet and the fine linen. And all the women whose heart stirred them up in wisdom spun the goat's hair. And the rulers brought the onyx stones, and the stones to be set, for the ephod, and for the breastplate, and the spice and the oil, for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The sons of Israel brought a free will offering to Lord, every man and woman, whose heart made them willing to bring for all the work, which Lord had commanded to be made by Moses. And Moses said to the sons of Israel, See, Lord has called by name Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And he has filled him with the Spirit of God, in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, and to devise skillful works, to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in cutting of stones for setting, and in carving of wood, to work in all manner of skillful workmanship. And he has put in his heart that he may teach, both he and Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan. He has filled them with wisdom of heart, to work all manner of workmanship, of the engraver, and of the skillful workman, and of the embroiderer, in blue, and in purple, in scarlet, and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of those. Chapter 36. And Bezalel and Oholiab shall work, and every wise-hearted man, in whom Lord has put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all the work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that Lord has commanded. And Moses called Bezalel and Oholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Lord had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come to the work to do it. And they received from Moses all the offering which the sons of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, with which to make it. And they brought yet to him free will offerings every morning. And all the wise men who wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they wrought. And they spoke to Moses, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which Lord commanded to make. And Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. And all the wise-hearted men among them who wrought the work made the tabernacle with 10 curtains, of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet with cherubim. The work of the skillful workman made them. The length of each curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of each curtain 4 cubits. All the curtains had one measure, and he coupled 5 curtains one to another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one to another. And he made loops of blue upon the edge of the one curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the second coupling. 50 loops he made in the one curtain, and 50 loops he made in the edge of the curtain that was in the second coupling. The loops were opposite one to another. And he made 50 clasps of gold, and coupled the curtains one to another with the clasps, so the tabernacle was one. And he made curtains of goat's hair for a tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of each curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the breadth of each curtain. The 11 curtains had one measure, and he coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. And he made 50 loops on the edge of the curtain that was outmost in the coupling, and 50 loops he made upon the edge of the curtain which was outmost in the second coupling. And he made 50 clasps of brass to couple the tent together that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tent of ram's skins dyed red, and a covering of sea skins above. And he made the boards for the tabernacle of acacia wood standing up. 10 cubits was the length of a board, and 1.5 cubits the breadth of each board. Each board had 2 tenons, joined one to another. Thus he made for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made the boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side southward. And he made 40 sockets of silver under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle, on the north side, he made 20 boards, and their 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the hinder part of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards. And he made 2 boards for the corners of the tabernacle in the hinder part, and they were double beneath, and in like manner they were entire to the top of it to one ring. Thus he did to both of them in the 2 corners. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets of silver, 16 sockets, under every board 2 sockets. And he made bars of acacia wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the hinder part westward. And he made the middle bar to pass through in the midst of the boards from the one end to the other. And he overlaid the boards with gold, and made their rings of gold for places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made the veil of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. He made it with cherubim, the work of the skillful workman. And he made for it 4 pillars of acacia, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made a screen for the door of the tent of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen, the work of the embroiderer, and the 5 pillars of it with their hooks. And he overlaid their capitals and their bands with gold, and their 5 sockets were of brass. Chapter 37. And Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. 2.5 cubits was the length of it, and 1.5 cubits the breadth of it, and 1.5 cubits the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside, and made a crown of gold to it round about. And he cast 4 rings of gold for it, in the 4 feet of it, even 2 rings on the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. And he made staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the ark, to bear the ark. And he made a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half the length of it, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth of it. And he made 2 cherubim of gold, of beaten work he made them, at the 2 ends of the mercy seat, 1 cherub at the one end, and 1 cherub at the other end, of one piece with the mercy seat. He made the cherubim at the 2 ends of it, and the cherubim spread out their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings, with their faces one to another. The faces of the cherubim were toward the mercy seat. And he made the table of acacia wood, 2 cubits the length of it, and 1 cubit the breadth of it, and 1 cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. And he made to it a border of a handbreadth round about, and made a golden crown to the border of it round about. And he cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put the rings in the 4 corners that were on the 4 feet of it. Close by the border were the rings, the places for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold, to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, the dishes of it, and the spoons of it, and the bowls of it, and the flagons of it with which to pour out, of pure gold. And he made the candlestick of pure gold. He made the candlestick of beaten work, even its base, and its shaft, its cups, its knobs, and its flowers, were of one piece with it. And there were 6 branches going out of the sides of it, 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side of it, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side of it, 3 cups made like almond blossoms in one branch, a knob and a flower, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms in the other branch, a knob and a flower. So for the 6 branches going out of the candlestick. And in the candlestick were 4 cups made like almond blossoms, the knobs of it, and the flowers of it. And a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, and a knob under 2 branches of one piece with it, for the 6 branches going out of it. Their knobs and their branches were of one piece with it. The whole of it was one beaten work of pure gold. And he made the lamps of it, 7, and the snuffers of it, and the snuff dishes of it, of pure gold. He made it of a talent of pure gold, and all the vessels of it. And he made the altar of incense of acacia wood. 1 cubit was the length of it, and 1 cubit the breadth of it, 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it. The horns of it were of one piece with it. And he overlaid it with pure gold, the top of it, and the sides of it round about, and the horns of it. And he made to it a crown of gold round about. And he made for it 2 golden rings under the crown of it, upon the 2 ribs of it, upon the 2 sides of it, for places for staves with which to bear it. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, after the art of the perfumer. Chapter 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was the length of it, and 5 cubits the breadth of it, 4 square, and 3 cubits the height of it. And he made the horns of it upon the 4 corners of it. The horns of it were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, the flesh hooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels of it he made of brass. And he made for the altar a grating of network of brass, under the ledge around it beneath, reaching halfway up. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grating of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of acacia wood, and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar with which to bear it. He made it hollow with planks. And he made the laver of brass, and the base of it of brass, from the mirrors of the women who fasted by the doors of the tabernacle of witness, in the day in which he set it up. And he made the court. For the south side southward the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, and their sockets 20, of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were of silver. And for the north side 100 cubits, their pillars 20, and their sockets 20, of brass, the hooks of the pillars, and their bands of silver. And for the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, and their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars, and their bands, of silver. And for the east side eastward 50 cubits. The hangings for the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3, and so for the other side. On this hand and that hand by the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. And the sockets for the pillars were of brass, the hooks of the pillars and their bands of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals of silver. And all the pillars of the court were banded with silver. And the screen for the gate of the court was the work of the embroiderer, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height and the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the H. And their pillars were 4, and their sockets 4, of brass, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals, and their bands of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle, and of the court round about, were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were counted, according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest, and Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah, made all that Lord commanded Moses. And with him was Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a skillful workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and in scarlet, and in fine linen. All the gold that was used for the work in all the work of the sanctuary, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, a beka a head, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who passed over to those who were numbered, from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 me. And the 100 talents of silver were for casting the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets for the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. And of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their capitals, and made bands for them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And with it he made the sockets to the door of the tent of meeting, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grating for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the gate of the court, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Chapter 39. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made finely wrought garments for ministering in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as Lord commanded Moses. And he made the ephod of gold, blue and purple and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they beat the gold into thin plates and cut it into wires, to work it in the blue and in the purple and in the scarlet and in the fine linen, the work of the skillful workman. They made shoulder pieces for it, joined together. It was joined together at the two ends, and the skillfully woven band that was upon it with which to gird it on was of the same piece and like the work of it, of gold, of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as Lord commanded Moses. And they wrought the onyx stones, enclosed in settings of gold, engraved with the engravings of a signet, according to the names of the sons of Israel. And he put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, to be stones of memorial for the sons of Israel, as Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate, the work of the skillful workman, like the work of the ephod, of gold, of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. It was foursquare. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length of it, and a span the breadth of it, being double. And they set 4 rows of stones in it. A row of sardius, topaz, and carbuncle was the first row, and the second row an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond, and the third row a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst, and the fourth row a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were set in enclosures of gold in their settings. And the stones were according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, each one according to his name, for the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate chains like cords, of wreathen work of pure gold. And they made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold and the 2 rings at the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they put on the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod in the forepart of it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the edge of it, which was toward the side of the ephod inward. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod underneath, in the forepart of it, close by the coupling of it, above the skillfully woven band of the ephod. And they bound the breastplate by the rings of it to the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be upon the skillfully woven band of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as Lord come. And he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue, and the whole of the robe in the midst of it, as the whole of a coat of mail, with a binding round about the whole of it, that it should not be torn. And they made upon the skirts of the robe pomegranates of blue, and purple, and scarlet, twined. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the skirts of the robe round about, between the pomegranates, a bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, upon the skirts of the robe round about, to minister in as Lord commanded Moses. And they made the coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron, and for his sons, and the mitre of fine linen, and the goodly head coverings of fine linen, and the linen breeches of fine twined linen, and the sash of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, the work of the embroiderer, as Lord commanded Moses. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like the engravings of a signet, Holy to Lord. And they tied to it a lace of blue, to fasten it upon the mitre above, as Lord commanded Moses. Thus was finished all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And the sons of Israel did according to all that Lord commanded Moses, so did they. And they brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its furniture, its clasps, its boards, its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, and the covering of ram's skins dyed red, and the covering of sea skins, and the veil of the screen, the ark of the testimony and the staves of it, and the mercy seat, the table, all the vessels of it, and the showbread, the pure candlestick, the lamps of it, even the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels of it, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the screen for the door of the tent, the brazen altar, and its grating of brass, its staves, and all its vessels, the laver and its base, the hangings of the court, its pillars, and its sockets, and the screen for the gate of the court, the cords of it, and the pins of it, and all the instruments of the service of the tabernacle, for the tent of meeting, the finely wrought garments for ministering in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to minister in the priest's office. According to all that Lord commanded Moses, so the sons of Israel did all the work. And Moses saw all the work, and behold, they had done it, as Lord had commanded, even so they had done it. And Moses blessed them. Chapter 40. And Lord spoke to Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month thou shalt raise up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt put the ark of the testimony in it, and thou shalt screen the ark with the veil. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps of it. And thou shalt set the golden altar for incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the screen of the door to the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of meeting and the altar, and shalt put water in it. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the screen of the gate of the court. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is in it, and shall hallow it, and all the furniture of it, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of burnt offering, and all its vessels, and sanctify the altar. And the altar shall be most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and its base, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tent of meeting, and shalt wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and thou shalt anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and put coats upon them, and thou shalt anoint them, as thou anointed their father, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. And their anointing shall be to them for an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses. According to all that Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the 1st month in the 2nd year, on the 1st day of the month, that the tabernacle was raised up. And Moses raised up the tabernacle, and laid its sockets, and set up the boards of it, and put in the bars of it, and raised up its pillars. And he spread the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it, as Lord commanded Moses. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the screen, and screened the ark of the testimony, as Lord commanded Moses. And he put the table in the tent of meeting, upon the side of the tabernacle northward, outside the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it, before Lord, as Lord commanded Moses. And he put the candlestick in the tent of meeting, opposite the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lit the lamps before Lord, as Lord commanded Moses. And he put the golden altar in the tent of meeting before the veil, and he burnt incense of sweet spices on it, as Lord commanded Moses. And he put the screen of the door to the tabernacle, and he set the altar of burnt offering at the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meal offering, as Lord commanded Moses. And he set the laver between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it with which to wash. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet there. They washed when they went into the tent of meeting, and when they came near to the altar, as Lord commanded Moses. And he raised up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the screen of the gate of the court. So Moses finished the work. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of meeting, because the cloud abode thereupon, and the glory of Lord filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the sons of Israel went onward, throughout all their journeys. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not journey till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and there was fire therein by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys. If you like the content, don't forget to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos.